Good morning, everyone. Going to give us just a second here for me to get the recording started. Okay, it looks like we're good to go. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Matt Nye, and I'm a regional director for Vertex Consulting. I'd also like to introduce Ryan Arellano. He's one of our inside sales account managers. He's going to be assisting me a little later with some of the tasks for the collaboration demo. So I'm very excited to have you all here today. Got a lot of useful information for you. This webinar is going to be targeted at both end users and administrators that are interested in learning more about Communicator and how you can leverage the ShoreTel conferencing component to collaborate with your peers and improve your productivity. I want to quickly show you the agenda for today. Basically, going to give you some updates on what's new with Vertex and ShoreTel. Then I'll give you a rundown of what's new in the ShoreTel 14.2 code release. Next, we'll roll into our communicator and conferencing demo. After that, we'll have time for Q&A. And lastly, we'll remind you of the date for the next webinar after this one. All of these webinars are recorded and uploaded to our website at vertex.com. They're under the webinars section, so if you see something you think a coworker might be interested in, you can go to our website and send them a link to the video. It usually takes about a day or so to get them up there. Should have them up there by close of business tomorrow. I'm getting some information here that the screens aren't working properly and everything looks good on my side. Just give me one moment here. I'm trying to see if there are any options that can be changed here. Are any of the other folks on having difficulties seeing the slides? If you could type in the chat window. Anybody? I see Vicky from IAP. I can see you're on. Are you having issues seeing the screen changes? All right, hang on, we're going to try. All right, I just tried to pause and restart. Okay, so we got it. Apparently I had to, instead of pausing it, I had to completely stop it and restart it. Apologize for that, guys. So updates on the Vertex Consulting front. We were very proud to announce that we received the ShoreTel Government Education Partner of the Year Award for the state of Florida. For those of you that don't know, almost 25% of our ShoreTel installations are in government and education clients. And we're actually just wrapping up a big win in Citrus County. That was almost 1,000 seats that we're finalizing here in the next couple of weeks. We're very fortunate to be continuously growing here at Vertex, and for that reason, we're always looking for new people. We're currently interviewing for both engineers and an account manager position. So if you know anyone that's interested, just have them go to our website, fill out the contact form there, and somebody will get back to them with further instructions on where to send their resume. I mentioned this last month as well, but we're now set up as a partner with a new product called Bright Metrics. It's a very powerful ShoreTel reporting solution that allows you to build reports based on any of the data within the ShoreTel system. Unlike the canned ShoreTel reports, you can make these reports very graphical. You can also set them up to be scheduled and emailed. It's a very affordable solution, very powerful. It really lets you extend the functionality of the ShoreTel. If you're interested in learning more about Bright Metrics, just reach out to your account executive and they'll get you more information. At Vertex Consulting, we pride ourselves on outstanding customer service, so we always like to make sure you know how to get that service when you need it. There are 2 ways to get support from us. You can call our main number and select 3 if it's a non-emergency support item, or 5 if it's an emergency where your network or phone system is down. If you choose the emergency option, the system will notify the engineer on call regardless of what time of day or night it is. That gets escalated, up through if somebody doesn't answer for whatever reason, it goes to the next person and on up the chain. And at the end of the chain is our CEO, Don Gulling. So you can rest assured somebody will get back to you very promptly because nobody wants Don to be called in the middle of the night about a system hard down. Although he'd be happy to help if he did get the call. You can also email us at help@vertex.com and a support request will be generated that way. That's typically the best route to go for your non-emergency support requests. Just a note, while your account executive is always happy to assist you in regards to support, many times they're on the road or in meetings with limited access to voicemail and email. So you'll get the fastest possible response for support if you call or email the support desk directly. Finally, we're trying to get back into a steady routine of doing these webinars, and to that end, we've scheduled them out through the end of the year. So the next webinar will be Thursday, September 10th, and we'll be covering some director tips and tricks, the integrated ShoreTel reporting, and the Bright Metrics reporting add-on. So one important product note I want to mention, the old ShoreTel handsets, the 1, 2, and 5 series are going away. The end of sale for the IP230 was back on June 30th, and they are actually out of that product now. The end of sale for the remainder of the 1, 2, and 5 series phones is slated for September 30th. If you're using, this is very important, if you're using 230Gs with a VPN concentrator, you should probably buy any that you think you might need because there's going to be a little bit of a gap between the 4 series working with the new, there is a new product called ShoreTel Connect coming, but it's going to be a little while before existing ShoreTel 14.2 clients can migrate to that. So if you think you're going to need a couple of extra 230G handsets in the next 4 or 5 months, I'd recommend you go ahead and get them. We've been told that those 230Gs may also hang around a little bit longer. We may get some extension of that September 30th deadline, but it's probably best to be safe rather than sorry. All right, and then on a non-ShoreTel related note, while we are the top-ranked ShoreTel partner in the state of Florida, that is not all we do here at Vertex Consulting. We have a ton of great manufacturer relationships, and we can help you with everything from your network infrastructure to security to backup and disaster recovery. So keep us in mind when you have new projects on the drawing board. We're expert in all areas of technology, and we can help you to sleep soundly at night by knowing you have all of your bases covered with solutions from our fantastic vendor partners. So now I'm going to very quickly run you through some of the ShoreTel 14.2 updates. Basically, the big improvement in 14.2 is virtualization. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is we've got updated operating system support where we can do 2008 Service Pack 2, 2008 R2 Service Pack 1, Windows Server 2012, and now we've got Internet Explorer 10 and 11 work properly with Director. They had some issues in prior versions with those. So that's good news on the OS front. Like I say, the big deal with ShoreTel 14.2 is the introduction of the new virtual appliances. Basically what we can do now is virtualize the physical hardware for phone capacity, SIP trunks, the conference appliance now can be virtualized. Lots of functionality here. All of the images are installed on VMware, installed as a standard OVM file. The excuse me, I got a bug in my throat here. The virtual IP phone, SIP trunk, VSA are installation files, and they're all part of the Shoreware director. And really, where you would walk you through some of the different switches and the capacity. So basically, you can deploy a virtual IP phone switch that'll support up to 1,000 IP phones. You basically license per extension or per number of phones you want to support, and they have different, capacities. You can get them by the single. You can get them in packs of 10, 50, and 100, and so on. The licensing cost or the cost per phone in that model is lower. So because you don't have the physical hardware component, and just cuts the cost a little bit. Also gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of the installation. The other thing that the virtualization with the phone switches gives you the ability to do is, before, if you wanted redundancy, we had N+1 redundancy that only ShoreTel does, but you had to buy an extra physical switch and designate it as a spare. Now we can deploy that switch virtually, and there's no cost, basically. If you did have a failure elsewhere on the network, all the phones can fail over to the virtual phone switch. That would kick off the 45-day license timer, because you wouldn't have virtual phone licenses for those that virtual spare switch, but we're going to have your other switch replaced well within that window. So you effectively get free N+1 redundancy if you deploy that switch virtually. For the virtual SIP trunks, we can do up to 500 SIP trunks per switch. Again, we license based on the number of SIP trunks that you want. So that's a easy way to do that. And then on the virtual conference bridge or virtual service appliance, this is probably the most popular thing that I've seen deployed since this came out. Basically, in ShoreTel 13, they started including the contacts tab and instant messaging as part of the base functionality of Personal Communicator. And so if you deploy one of these virtual SA100s, you basically get free instant messaging before you would have had to buy the $3,000 service appliance, the physical hardware. Now you can deploy that virtually, no licensing cost, and you have free instant messaging, which we're actually going to show you here in a few minutes. So with that, let me jump over into my screen here. And what I want to do, speaking of instant messaging, let me get this background stuff out of the way. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to IM Ryan. And for those who aren't familiar with Communicator, you can see here Ryan's showing us on the phone because he's actually dialed into this GoToMeeting. So I'm just going to right click and select IM. You can see here Ryan tells me he's typing me back. Now let's say that Ryan and I are doing, we're having an IM conversation and things get complicated. If I need to, I can escalate right from the IM window by clicking the phone call participants. So that's going to call Ryan. And he's going to have to put me on hold, and really he'll just let me mute his other line. So what I want to show you here is now that we've got a live call going, I'm going to have Ryan, let's say that we're talking about a document or something that requires us to share the screen. I can just have Ryan click the conference button, which is, or excuse me, the Start Instant Conference icon. And when he does that, that's going to pop his screen onto my so you can see here now, I'm going to be viewing in just a minute. It's going to show us as sharing desktops. And if I wanted to share a document with him, I could just, click this and it would share my screen. I'm not going to do that because I'm not sure how that's going to interact with the GoToMeeting screen sharing. We're already having issues. Anyway, you can see the difference here with the conferencing. The reason the usage on the ShoreTel conferencing is so high is because there's no need to send an invitation. You can do it right from the communicator. I use this a lot with Don because I'm a teleworker. I work from my house when I'm not on the road, and we can use that screen sharing to, if we have a quote or something we need to talk about, we just pop it up. So Ryan, I'm going to hang up on you. Unmute your other line. And the next thing we'll do, I want to walk you through how you actually set up and maintain your own, conference bridge on the ShoreTel, the conference web portal, they call it. So I'm going to go to Communicator, and then under Windows, you've got this option here for Conference Web Portal. You can see here it drops you into a tab for your personal conferences. And the first thing I want to show you, there's two things to really look at here. The first is you can create a conference similar to how you would in GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar. So if we click this, we could create a specific conference for a specific date and time with a specific unique access code. Okay, so we can do it that way. Or we can set up what they call a reservation-less conference bridge, which is what I've got here. And basically what I've done is I've created a personal bridge, and I've made the access code my direct dial number. 482-1459 is my DID number. So if I want to modify the settings for this reservation-less conference bridge, and what reservation-less means is this is always on. So if I'm just driving or I'm at a customer location or something, and I want to have a quick conference call, I can just tell people dial our conference bridge number, which is 5120933, plug in my participant code here, this 482-1459, and they'll all be on my audio bridge. So very easy to manage those. Again, if I wanted to modify, like Don has his set up where his code is just 1450, I would just change that code right there. Very easy to modify things here within that. You can also see, if we click this show more options, this is where you set all of your options for when does the conference start, right? Do you want to launch it when anybody joins the bridge? Do you want to mute them or not mute them when they first get on? You've set your options for who can see, who's on. Can you actually see the other people that are dialed into the bridge or online on the bridge? So on. You see here, you've got comments. Are they, can everybody see public comments, private, etc.? So lots of options there. Now, one of the neat things you can do as well with the conference functionality is under the personal library. What this means is you can upload ahead of time presentations or audio or video that you want to run. And so I actually, right before we started here, I uploaded the very same PowerPoint that that I was running for you on the screen. So you can see here, if I wanted to run that for you from the conference bridge, this is how you would do it from this personal library. Now, some of you may be asking why we're using GoToWebinar to run this webinar instead of the ShoreTel conference bridge. And the answer is that at our office, we have a single PRI, which is 23 channels of voice communication. And frequently on these webinars, we'll get 15, 20, 25 attendees. And so with that many people dialing in, we'd actually use up all of our phone lines for the entire office. And so for that reason, we use the GoToWebinar service instead, so we don't have to worry about tying up all of our trunks. But as you can see, you can preload presentations. Hang on, just got a message. Hopefully that helped. And then you could run through, that very same PowerPoint that I showed you earlier. You could just sit through that. Again, same concept. You could upload audio, video, or pictures ahead of time. So very easy to do that. Now, another thing you can do is when you're running these, let's say that we were running an audio and web bridge, a presentation, just like we're doing here with GoToMeeting, you have the option to record those. And once they're recorded, you can save them in either your own private space or a public space. So I'm going to click over here to the public tab, and then I'm going to select recordings. And here you will be able to see some of the recordings that have been done recently by some of our engineers. In fact, here you can see ShoreTel call recorder training just done about a week ago by one of our guru engineers, Mike Dufilli. And so these, where this comes in handy, this is especially handy for HR type or training scenarios where you run the training session on the ShoreTel conference bridge, record it, store it publicly so everybody can access it. And you see here on the right, you have an option to play it on the screen, in the browser, or you can actually download the combined file or just the audio portion. So you've got quite a number of options here as far as how you want to view it or if you want to download it. But that seems to be the greatest use for the recording functionality, is that for training type scenarios. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you on the collaboration piece. Again, I'm hesitant to, let's see if this runs or if it blows up with the GoToMeeting screen sharing.
Check, testing 1, 2,
there we
3.
go. So it's working.
Check.
So you guys can see the we're actually viewing that recording of that training that Mike did. So I'll go ahead and stop there. I think you get the point. What I want to do next is dive into some of the communicator tips and tricks, if you will. One of the things that some people may not realize is you've got a couple of options. We were talking about instant messaging. You can actually set a status note for your IM presence, and you do that by clicking on the ShoreTel swirly. You go to IM presence and then go down here to set status note. And so I can type in ShoreTel webinar. And basically, if anybody hovers over my status, you can see IM status doing a ShoreTel webinar. Same thing for your call handling. You can set a note for each of your different call handling modes. So right now I'm in standard. If I go to configure call handling and then I go to the standard option, you'll see here call handling note. Hit apply. We go back and view my presence when we hover over it. And we'll see that it'll show that in addition to, so you've got a call handling note and you've got an IM status. This is a really, really handy thing when you've got, you're in a large campus environment. I know Vicky from IAP is on. They've got a really large office. It's just very handy to be able to roll over and see, what other people are doing. Works very well if you stay on top of it. So I want to walk you through some of the different view settings. Communicator is very easy to make work on different type desktop environments, customize it to the amount of desktop real estate you've got. So the first thing I want to show you is we can go to a docked type situation. So let's say we want to dock to the left. And you can see there, much smaller footprint. We can go really, really small and go to the miniature version here. And that makes it really tiny, but you still have the key things that you need as far as your presence, what phone you're assigned to, and you've also got your quick dialer toolbar no matter what you do. So when you type in somebody's name, you see whoever is local on the network and their presence, and then all the other people in your Outlook contacts as well. So very easy to fit Communicator to your particular environment. Now the other thing we can do, I'm going to put us back in normal mode here. The other thing we can do is within Communicator, we can actually modify how these tabs and windows work inside of Communicator. So you've got, right now, I've got a standard view with oops. Sorry guys, I got a MacBook here and it's popping my inbound phone call on me. All right, there we go. So inside Communicator, right now we're in the standard tabs, right? So I've got contacts, voicemail, history. But if I want to actually rearrange how this works, I can actually left click and hold that contacts, and then I can move it. You see the arrow there highlights a different part of the screen. So let's say I want to put my contacts inside Communicator at the top here. And then now I've got my voicemail in a separate window in the bottom. And then let's say I wanted to make another window for my history. I could put that here at the bottom. And so you can build out these windows inside of Communicator. And then let's say I wanted to blow this thing up full screen. Anyway, bottom line, lots of different ways to make this work for your space. I typically just use the tabs, quite frankly. I don't really get too fancy with this. Most of my time, like you say, is going to be spent contacts or voicemail. If you go back to, you see here, basically all I'm showing now is the contacts. If I want to show my voicemail again, it's going to put it in that separate window. All I've got to do is left click and drag it back to the center, and it becomes a tab. So very easy to do that. So let's talk about extension assignment. This is pretty basic phone feature, but basically you've got the ability with the standard out-of-the-box ShoreTel functionality to set up multiple phone numbers that the system can reach you on. Once you've got them set up under the My Phones option here, and you see they give you, a pre-done field for mobile, pre-done field for home. I don't think anybody even has a home phone number anymore, but it's there. And then they give you these extra ones that you can label for whatever. So this mobility, that 1937 is my ShoreTel mobility extension. But once you've got these configured and assigned, then you go into your call routing, and you can basically set, what you want to happen. So if I wanted to, instead of having my calls ring my main desktop phone, I could have them ring my soft phone or my mobile phone. You can modify by call handling mode, so you can pick all of them as I have now, or just check specific ones. The simultaneous ring feature is relatively new. It's very nice. You can set that up to call, again, your mobile at the same time your desktop handset rings, or your mobility extension, and so forth. So you can ring up to a total of 2 additional phones. The thing you have to keep in mind here with the simultaneous ring is if somebody calls you, the system is actually grabbing as many outbound lines to call these other numbers as you have set up. So if you have 2 phone numbers plugged in here, it's actually using 2 extra lines. And so in an office environment like ours, where we've got 23 voice channels, if everybody was simultaneously ringing 2 other phones, we could eat up our available capacity real quick. Now for that reason, you can use this Find Me. This is one of the advantages of using this Find Me feature, because it doesn't use multiple lines all the time. Basically, you can set up in your out of office mode, for instance, you could configure it. You configure voicemail to say something to the effect of, I'm out of the office. If you want the system to find me, press 1. And then you would actually plug in the phone numbers you want it to call here. So basically that just greatly reduces the number of lines, the odds of somebody actually actively seeking you out versus this simultaneous ring always being on. It's completely different. Another thing that comes in handy, you see this checkbox for send incoming caller ID. This actually dictates whether you see your company's main phone number, for instance, or the actual caller's inbound ID. And so for me, I have this unchecked because I get so many. I'm involved in some nonprofits and other things, and it's just easier for me to see if I see the Vertex main number, then I know how to answer, that it's a Vertex phone call. So you can do that. The other thing you can do is on the Find Me function, you can basically screen the call by checking this Enable Record Callers function. So that's pretty cool. Now I want to talk about a little bit about a professional communicator feature. So this is an upgrade, if you will, to the Pro. And basically, personalized call handling is similar to rules from Outlook. Okay, so what you can do is, let's say that we wanted to build out a rule. I've actually got one in here for Don already. We can do it on a phone number match, and let's say so let's say that Don calls from his cell phone, and then again, it's just like building out an Outlook rule. We say, okay, if a call comes from this number, I can select any of these options. So basically what you could do is, let's say that you get a lot of calls from salespeople. You could type in, if the caller ID is unknown, you could send that straight to your voicemail. You can play a different ringtone, so if I wanted to play a different ringtone when Don calls, and this may be something that you may want to set up for your significant other. If your spouse calls, it plays a different ringtone or something like that. But basically, once you build that out, if it matches that phone number, it will make that happen. So personalized call handling, pretty cool upgrade in Pro Communicator. All right, another quick thing I want to show you, a lot of people don't realize, in the ShoreTel voicemail, you can actually rename these messages. So the normal subject says voice message, but we can change that to webinar voicemail. And if I forward this, what's cool about renaming it is if I forward this voicemail to somebody else, it will actually retain that change. So when they get it on their side, it'll show whatever my subject is. So neat way to keep track of your voicemails. You can see I've got a whole slew. I'm not very good about cleaning out my inbox. So that's that. Last thing, just want to kind of recover. This is pretty basic stuff, but Outlook integration. We do have, oops, didn't realize my Outlook was closed there. Give me just one sec. So within the communicator, we've got multiple things to integrate with Outlook. We've got the import your contacts. I already kind of showed you that earlier. If I type in Don, it will pull all of the Dons in my Outlook contacts, in addition to people that are local in the system. Obviously, if they're local, you're going to get presence. So that's one thing. We've also got the voicemail integration, where you can get your voicemail via email. So that works two ways. There are two options there. You can get a notification that basically has a play button, and that's just like playing the voicemail from this voicemail tab here. So it's just a pointer. There's no file attached. It takes up, I think, 3 kilobytes of space. It's very tiny. But basically in the Outlook custom form, and I don't think I've got one to show you here that's recent. I should have done one ahead of time, but I didn't. But you would basically open that email, you would see the play button and play it. The other option is to actually attach excuse me, the voicemail as a WAV file. The difference between the two is if you send the one excuse me, with the pointer outside the network, they're not going to be able to get to your ShoreTel server, so they can't listen to the voicemail. If you attach it as a WAV file, then you can send it out. You can check it on your mobile device. They can hear it. The other thing you can do with the voicemail, if you need to, right-click and export it to a WAV file. And we just save that anywhere you want. because a lot of these systems that we install will configure a rule where, or the administrator will configure a rule where it will purge your deleted items, and sometimes they can even purge your inbox. And one other note while I'm on that subject, if a voicemail is deleted from within the ShoreTel Communicator, it's gone forever. We can't get it back. ShoreTel can't get it back. They do that on purpose because they have to be compliant with the public records laws. Basically, people need to know when they delete something that it's actually gone, so they can safely say they don't have, a voicemail record to provide if somebody asks for it. So that's pretty much a wrap of the things I wanted to show you today. And if you guys have any questions, I will try to see if I can unmute these lines. All right, so let's go attendees, unmute. All right, so does anybody have any questions? The line's open. The only thing I can't see at the moment is the... There it is. All right, any questions? I don't see any in the question box. I don't hear anything. So our next webinar, as I said, is going to be September 10th. We're going to dig into Director, the integrated reporting, and we'll showcase the Bright Metrics reporting. We hope you'll join us for that. I'll download this recording and take a look at it. Hopefully it's good enough to put up on the website, but we're going to do another one very similar to this probably within the next 6 weeks. So if this one's not adequate for the website, if it's not good enough, we'll put that one up there then. Okay, guys, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate your time. And like I say, if you have any questions at all, just reach out to your account executive and they'll help you out. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.